Hi, geometry. Let's review the quadratic formula. So in the quadratic formula, I needed to identify my A, my B, and my C. So in this problem, my A is in front of my x squared, so it's a 1. My B is in front of my x term, so it's a 5. And my C is my constant term, or 6. So let's plug this into my quadratic formula. X equals negative B, so negative 5 plus minus b squared is 5 squared, or 25, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 6, all over 2 times 1. So x equals negative 5 plus or minus, this is 25 minus 4 times 1 times 6 is 24, all over 2. So 25 minus 24 is 1. So this is negative 5 plus minus the square root of 1 all over 2. And the square root of 1 is 1. So this becomes negative 5 plus minus 1 over 2. Now this is two different answers. So looking at my two answers, I have negative 5 plus 1 over 2. This is negative 4 over 2, or negative 2. I also have negative 5 minus 1 over 2. This is negative 6 over 2, or negative 3. Those are my two answers for this quadratic equation. Let's flip to the next page and take a look at example number 2 right here. So first of all, when you're doing a quadratic equation, you're solving it, we have to have this set equal to 0. So in this problem, I need to move both the 4 and the x over to the other side by doing the opposite operation. So I get 4x squared. Let's put our x term next. I'm going to add it to both sides. I'm subtracting the 4 over. And all of that's now going to be equal to 0. Again, I had to move the 4 over by subtracting it. I had to move the negative x over by adding it. And I want it in my ax squared plus bx plus c form. So that's why I have it arranged the way I do. So in this problem, my a is 4, my b is 1, and my c is negative 4. So let's put this into my quadratic equation. So I would have x equals negative b, so negative 1 plus minus, b squared is 1 squared, or 1, minus 4 times a, which is 4, times c, which is also, but a negative 4, all over 2 times a, which is 4. So now this problem has a common mistake some kids make. So I'd like you to look at these 4s. When you are multiplying these, you could think of this is a negative 4 times a positive 4 times a negative 4. I do have two negatives there, and a negative is a positive. So it's really a positive. It's really a plus. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. It's not a minus 64, which is a very common error students make. Super common error. Be careful with that. So now this becomes negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 65 over 8. Now 65 is not a perfect square. I can leave my answer like this. I can also write it as a negative 1 over 8 plus minus the square root of 65 over 8. This is the same answer. And I can also do this math. So I could also do negative 1 plus the square root of 65 on my calculator. So I could do negative 1 plus the square root of 65 on my calculator divided by 8. And I can do x equals negative 1 minus the square root of 65 divided by 8 on my calculator. So I would get a 0.88 as one of my answers, and I would get a negative 1.13 as my other answer. All of these are an okay way to leave our answers for this problem. Let's look at one more. Let's look at example number 3 at the top. Again, it's not set equal to 0. I need to move this 15 over to the other side, so I'm going to subtract it from both sides, and I get 6x squared plus 9x minus 15 equals 0. So this is in the correct form, the correct lineup, and I get A equals 6, B equals 9, and C equals negative 15. So my x is equal to negative b, or negative 9, plus minus the square root of 9 squared, which is 81, minus 4 times a, which is 6, times c, which is negative 15, all over 2 times a, which is 2 times 6. So this is negative 9 plus minus the square root of 81. Now be careful. This is another situation where this is a negative 15 times a positive 6. We're going to let that negative go with the 4 times a negative 4. This is a negative situation, and when I multiply it all together, I should get a positive 360 all over 12. This is negative 9 plus or minus. Let's add 81 and 360 and get 441 all over 12. On a quick side note, you cannot cancel anything at all right now. Do not even cancel the factor of 3 between the 9 and the 12. You can't cancel anything because of the plus minus. So no canceling, no reducing, anything of that nature right now. So 441 is a perfect square. If you do that on your calculator, you're going to find 21. So this is negative 9 plus minus 21 over 12. So that gives me two different answers. I have negative 9 plus 21 over 12. This is 12 over 12, or 1. And I have negative 9 minus 21 over 12. This is negative 30 over 12. And it's equal to negative 2.5. These are my two answers for that problem. Thank you so much for watching the video. Try the remaining problems on this page and check your answers in our folder. I'll see you in class. Bye.